Greetings, everyone. My name is Maheshwara. I'm very happy to be here again for the fifth session with Rajesh on the Prout principles. Today we'll start a two-session part on the fundamental principles of Prout. So principles from 11th to 16. I will let Rajesh explain why they're called the fundamental principles, because I'm not sure why. So yeah, I will let him start. Thank you very much, Rajesh, for your work and efforts.
Namaskar to everyone. And in today's session, we are going to discuss the fundamental principles of Prout. Most likely, we will discuss either one principle, and if time permits, we might go for two. So best possibilities for one or two sutras or principles only for today. And whatever it's one or two in the next session, it will be concluded from my part with all the 16 sutras. So just I'm giving a brief background of these 5 fundamental principles. These 5 fundamental principles first published in a book called Idea and Ideology, and the last chapter was named The Cosmic Brotherhood. And in this chapter, the 5 fundamental principles has been discussed. Only 5. As we all know that Prout is in form of Sanskrit sutras, and total number of sutras or principles are 16. But in this chapter, only 5 fundamental principles has been incorporated. It was published in 1959, and in the same year 1959, the Prout philosophy was publicly declared on 14th of September 1959 at a small town, namely Motihari, in the state called Bihar. In the same state, Sri Prabhat Ranjan Sarkar was born. Jamalpur lies in the same state, Bihar. And we all know that all these 16 sutras are incorporated in the 5th chapter of Anand Sutram, which was published in 1965. 5 fundamental principles in 1959 in the book Idea and Ideology, chapter called The Cosmic Brotherhood. The entire sutras in 5th chapter of Anand Sutram, published in 1965. I'm coming straight away to the first fundamental principle, which goes as Samajadeshen bina dhan sanchaya akartavya. Samaj means collective body. Adeshen means permission or approval. Samaj adeshen bina, without permission. Dhan sanchaya, accumulation of wealth. Akartavya, not allowed. So in totality, it goes as no individual should allowed to accumulate any physical wealth without the clear permission or approval of the collective body. And there can be a question in mind, wealth is unlimited, because it seems it's unlimited. Unlimited money is there, unlimited wealth is there. So why there should be a ceiling on wealth or ceiling on accumulation? So before going to the into the details, let me share a story with you. I have a friend. He is fond of shoes. Wherever he goes, in any country or any state or any place, or whenever he gets an opportunity, he buys new shoes. He's quite wealthy. He has large number of shoes or pair of shoes. So when his one cupboard or the shoe shelf was filled full, then he he has taken a flat just to keep the shoes. He is so fond, so fascinated with this number of shoes. All the time he is looking for a new shoe, new variety of shoes. Whether he is going to a new place, obviously every country, every place has their own some USPs or the specialities. So definitely he is finding new varieties of shoes and he is purchasing them and keeping them in cupboards and the shelves everywhere. He has just made in a room shelf for the shoes only. So when in the beginning he has 5-10 pairs of shoes, we were happy with him that, oh, he is so rich, he has 5-10 pairs of shoes. But when his fascination grows, now we call him crazy, mad, that he has such a large number of shoes and he has put in the cupboards and the shelves and almirahs. So it's just sheer craziness, it's sheer madness. But is it so? We in India, there was a lady politician. She was ruling a state. She was chief minister of that particular state. She has more than 10,000 pieces of saris. Sari is a cloth. In India, ladies wear it. It's almost more than 5 meters. It's about around 6 meters straight length piece of cloth, but always a costly one. Ladies wear it, wrap it around their body, and she has more than 10,000 number of saris. She has more than 300 pieces, pairs of shoes. We all must have heard about the late Filipino First Lady Imelda Marcos. She possesses more than 3,000 pairs of shoes. And I'm not going to publicize the name of the company, but when you will search in Google, the costliest shoe, you will find the costliest shoe costs 20 million rupees, dollars 20 million. Just one pair of shoe, $20 million. And we are fascinated with these kind of people that they have such a huge money, huge wealth, when more than 3 billion people are suffering in poverty. So when a person keeps 300, 400 pairs of shoes, we call him crazy, we call them mad. But when people have ample of money, if they possess $100 billion, $150 billion, $200 billion, when they have properties across globe, they have properties in Bahamas, they have properties in some island in Italy, they have some property in Hawaii. So we call them role models. They are placed on the magazines like Time and Forbes, and they are presented before us like the role models. But are they? Just I am sharing some data that will open your mind or change your perception that money is unlimited. Money is not unlimited. It is countable. Whatever the figure is, how much money all across world is, but it's countable. Any countries or every country's central bank is aware that how much currency is in market, in their market. What is the denomination of the currency and what is the number of currency, how much figure that a certain denomination currency is in the market. So it's countable. In India, we know we can go to the Reserve Bank of India, which is central bank for India. We can easily get how many denominations are there for the currency and what number of notes currencies are in the market. So it's not unlimited. When it's not unlimited, let me share some more data with you. In 2018, Oxfam International released data in January. Every time when in Davos in Switzerland, there is World Economic Forum's meeting, when the country heads or the state heads of the every country gather together, the economists, the business tycoons, the journalists, the environmentalists, when they gather in Davos, Oxfam International releases its data for rich and poor, increasing gap between rich and poor. 2018 data says that 8 individuals' wealth, just 8 individuals' wealth is equivalent to the wealth of 50% poor people of the globe. Means 8 people on one side and 4 billion people's wealth is on one side. Let's come to the 2019. In 2019 data says that 9 individual Indians possess wealth equivalent to the poorest 50%. Means we 650 million people and 9 persons wealth is equivalent. And 2020 data say that 1% people possess wealth double to the remaining 99%. And some more, 5 richest person on the globe of the world possess $800 billion. Just 5. 10 people possess $1.3 trillion. 10, 1.3 trillion. And recently, Forbes has released the list of billionaires. It has 2,668 billionaires, and their collective wealth is $12.7 trillion. And one more, that is Hurun Global Research, which says world has 3,361 billionaires and their collective wealth is $15.2 trillion. So as I said, we have a normal perception that money is unlimited. So where is the problem? If there is unlimited money, if some people possess such huge amounts or such huge wealth, where is the problem? But here I have a question to everyone. Why every underdeveloped country or a developing country is looking forward for FDI? This FDI stands for foreign direct investment. Why they are looking for this foreign direct investment? Because no one gives money free of cost. There is nothing like free lunch. When any country is giving a loan to any nation, they put certain terms and conditions other than the interest part. And one of the biggest example is countries falling in the trap of China under the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. But I will not indulge into that part. Otherwise, it will look like that I am here for the China bashing only. But no country gives free lunch when you are taking money from someone. So my question is, if a free they are looking forward for the foreign direct investment for the infrastructural projects to develop their nation, to develop their country. Again, other than Ukraine, Sri Lanka is in the news, global news, just due to the economic crisis or political turmoil. And Sri Lankan government is in negotiation with International Monetary Fund, IMF, for a bailout package, because they have hardly any foreign currency left, or their foreign currency left with them. So they are looking forward for some immediate bailout package so that they can honor their commitments on the interest part, and they can import the food grains or the life saving drugs or the essential goods and products. So my question is, why Sri Lanka is looking for a bailout package from the IMF? Sri Lanka is a free, independent and sovereign country. They have their own currency, which is known as Lankan rupees, LKR, or popularly known as Sri Lankan rupees, SLR. So they can print money like anything. They are a free and independent and sovereign country. They can print the currency. Why they are looking for the help from IMF? And if any economist says to me that Rajesh, you don't know there are certain economic mechanisms that after a certain level, no country can print money than the prescribed limit, because if you are crossing that limit, your money will be devalued or you have the inflation. So when you have the inflation, goods will become costly, or the vice versa part, that if the purchasing capacity of money is devalued. What is the meaning of devaluation of money? The inherent purchasing capacity part got decreased. So my point is, if a country is not allowed to print their own currency after a certain limit, how any individual can be allowed to accumulate such kind of money or the wealth? This $200 billion or some $150 billion, 10 people are possessing $1.3 trillion, how they can be allowed? And here the first fundamental principle says that no individual should be allowed to accumulate any physical wealth without the clear permission and approval of the collective body. And before coming, what will happen when the ceiling will be imposed? I'm giving you another example. And that is the worst part. On today, Elon Musk, his personal wealth is $270 billion. And we all know he has purchased Twitter for $44 billion. What is going to happen? Is Elon Musk is going to pay this $44 billion from his own $270 billion? No. He will go to the financial institutions and they will happily pay, because they know that if we are giving money to the Tesla or the Elon Musk, this money will be returned with the interest part. So this is the worst part, that wealth is there, but that is not part of the economy. These wealthiest people have the money or the wealth, but this money is not part of the economy. Having $270 billion, he will not pay to the Twitter from his own pocket. He will borrow from the financial institutions. So this is making things more complicated. This is bringing world at the threshold of recession. Even I would like to remind all of you that on 27th of March 2020, the managing director of IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, has already been declared that world has entered into the phase of recession. So whoever thinks that money is sorry unlimited, this is not unlimited. There is a limitation to every country to print their own currency, even though they are a free and sovereign country. So Prout that says that no individual should be allowed. And when this ceiling will be placed, will be used in practicality, what will happen? This accumulated wealth or money will become the part of the economy. In every country has their own Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and the Warren Buffett. They have their own billionaires. They are having such large money with them, but that is not part of the economy. When the ceiling will be placed on them, this money will become part of the economy. And when every country has this number of amount with them, they can go for multiple infrastructural projects, multiple educational institutions, universities, hospitals. They can modify or revamp their health services. Anything they can do, because no country is able to do. They have the scars of the money. But when they have their own money, own currency, this has not been borrowed from the on the terms of World Bank or the IMF or any company or any nation. They are free to utilize their money as per their choice or their requirement. So when this first fundamental principle is practically in place, every country's economy will start growing. The multiple infrastructural projects and developmental activities will take place. And when the infrastructural projects are there, developmental projects are there, when the new factories are coming up, people will get jobs, they will get employment, or they will get involved into the work. Because whenever a factory comes up, many additional jobs are there. Like suppose if you are a car company is coming there, so car company is not making all the things. Some other company is making tires, some other company is making gearbox, some other company is making something, the accessories of the car required for the car. So multiple works starts. It's a chain reaction. People get job, they get involved with the work, and this translates into the money. When you are working, you will get some money. Money gives you the purchasing capacity. When you have the purchasing capacity, you will buy the products. When you will buy the products, the economy will get stronger and stronger. When there will be more demand, there will be more production. When there will be more production, more people will get involved in the engaged in the job or in the work. So in this way, the people will thrive, the economy will become vibrant, the economy will become stronger. And when the economy is stronger, vibrant, everyone's life will become more comfortable, more prosperous than this capitalistic, existing capitalistic structure, which promotes that unlimited accumulation of wealth, which is the root cause of looming recession, or as Kristalina Georgieva said, that we have entered into the phase of recession. So this is the very first fundamental principle, which says, again, I'm concluding with the sutra. This is: no individual should allow to accumulate any physical wealth without the clear permission and approval of the collective body. And here I would like to, sorry, two things. Clear permission and approval means there might a possibility that collective body will allow everyone to hold some physical wealth. There will be some kind of limitation or something. And if people are looking for more, as we discussed in the 10th sutra, that is atiriktam pradatavyam, surplus will be given to the meritorious people on the basis of their or the degree of their merit. So if we have to give something extra to the meritorious people, it requires the approval or permission of the collective body. And here we need to remember or remind that this is not government, collective body. This collective body will be a local collective body. How it will be formed, this can be discussed later on, some another chapter, another session, when it will be part of that syllabus. This will be discussed, but this is not the government which will decide or will give the approval or permission. This is the collective body which will give the permission and approval. And so should we wind up with this one sutra only, or you suggest to go for the second sutra as well? Brother Maheshwara, it's half an hour. So are you suggesting I should go for the second sutra, or should I take the questions?
I think we can go. How long would the second sutra go for?
It will take, I think, 10-15 minutes.
Maybe we can go for the second sutra. Maybe we can also take the question from Didi Uttama. She has her hand up.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
Coming to the next sutra, which is in sequence, sutra number 13th. It says, Sthul Suksh Karneshu Charmopayoga Prakartavya Vichar Samarthit Vantancha. There should be maximum utilization of mundane, supramundane, and spiritual or causal potentials of the universe. There should be maximum utilization and rational distribution of all mundane, supramundane, spiritual, or causal potentials of the universe. So let's discuss with the words. Sthul. Sthul means mundane. Suksh, subtle, supramundane. Karaneshu. Karaneshu means this is spiritual or the causal potentials. Charmopayoga means maximum utilization. Prakartavya, we have to do it. We have to go for the maximum utilization. Vichar samarthit means rational. Vantancha is distribution. Vichar samarthit vantancha is rational distribution. So there should be maximum utilization and rational distribution of this mundane, supramundane, and spiritual or causal potentials of the universe. So what are the sthul or mundane potentials? We all know that everything is formed with the 5 fundamental factors. And what are these 5 fundamental factors? Solid, liquid, luminous, air, and ethereal. Solid stands for earth. Liquid for water, sea, the oceans, the rivers. Luminous, the fire energy. Aerial, the air, the wind energy. Ethereal, the sky, the universe. So we have to go for the maximum utilization of the mundane potentials. So solid is everything on earth has been explored? No. If the exploration is as going on, we have the opportunity to find more fossil fuel, more coal, more iron ore, more manganese, more uranium in any country or anywhere. We can't claim that everything has been explored. No, it has not been. And in many books, Sri Prabhat Ranjan Sarkar has indicated that in this place you can find these kind of items that has still not been explored. So we have ample of opportunities that we still need to explore the solid or the earth. And as we are going to get more fossil fuel, more iron ores, more carbon, more zinc, more manganese, more uranium, other ores. So definitely it is going to help in development of the human society. The liquid part, that is, as I said, sea, oceans, rivers, hydro energy is one example. And still the entire potentials of hydro energy, hydropower has not been utilized. In many places, still the dams can be built and we can generate the hydro energy or hydropower from there. In many books, Sri Prabhataranjan Sarkar has indicated that beneath the sea and oceans, many things are lying untouched, which can help immensely in the development of the human society. So that is still unexplored. We can might make food from getting some uh, sea food or something from that very nutritious food for human beings or the humankind, that can be. So this is the liquid part. Luminous, as I said, this is the fire energy. When coal is burned, it translates or converted into the electrical energy. We know that still many machines and the heavy industries are running on this fire. The furnaces are working on the philosophy or with the support and help of the fire. So this is the luminous part. The aerial, just 30-40 years back, we haven't visualized or dreamed about, or the some 50 years back, we haven't visualized about getting power energy from the air. But now we have windmills, we are getting power energy from the air. So this is the air part. Ethereal, the sky, the universe, it's still unexplored, as we haven't explored earth completely, sea and ocean. So let's forget about the universe. We, as some experiments or some visits on Mars says that we can find many valuable things, or we can live. The atmosphere or the climate or the environment is like that. There is air, there is ice, so we can survive on Mars. So still this ethereal part is also need to explore. And so these are the mundane potentials. Now coming to the supramundane, the subtle part. Personally, I feel that it's difficult to a bit define, but let me give some examples, or let me share some examples with you. So it might clear to you that, oh, these things are called the supramundane potentials. Like telepathy, as I was thinking about Brother Maheshwara, and there was a psychic longing that, oh, it's too long, I haven't talked to the Brother Maheshwara, so I should talk to him. But whether it's night, whether he is sleeping or not, should I call him or not? And suddenly my mobile rings, and I visualize that, oh my God, it's Brother Maheshwara's call. I haven't say anything to him. There was no conversation with him. It was just happening inside me only, in my mind only. And suddenly I'm getting call from Brother Maheshwara. This is telepathy. So these parapsychological potentials can be defined as the supramundane potentials. Many people has are has a vision of far-sighting things. What is happening in Sri Lanka today? We might unable to know how the things are going to take turn in Sri Lanka, or today is the 80th day of conflict between Russia and Ukraine. So what will happen in Ukraine next? Are we heading towards the third world war? We might not able to judge, but some people who have a clairvoyance, have a far-sighted vision, they can visualize that this kind of scenario can be possible. These are the possibilities. So again, it's an example of this parapsychological or supramundane potentials. Premonition. Sometimes we have a feeling or we have a sense, which we call it the sixth sense or something, that you have an inner feeling that something is going to happen. What will happen? You might don't know. As you don't know what is going to happen, you don't have any opportunity for any preparedness that you should prepare for that situation or scenario. But you have a sense of feeling that something is going to happen. That again a supramundane potential. And one thing is precognition. Many people are blessed or fortunate that they can visualize or see the future. What will happen in the future, they are able to get a glimpse of that. And one example will establish what I am willing to convey, this precognition part. We should take the example just 550 years back in France, there was a person called Michel de Notre Dame, which is popularly known as Nostradamus. He had some prophecies some 550 years back when there was this paper currency was not in printing. No one has visualized, but in the Nostradamus prophecies, you will find the mention of this paper currency. So he has many prophecies are there, and these prophecies are taking place after 550 years. So this is precognition. So this kind of potentials can be utilized for the welfare of mankind. This should not be utilized for one's individual sake, because the entire Prout philosophy is based on the feeling of welfare of all. Samaj tattva. It's not based on the capitalistic mindset of self-gratification, self-pleasure, self-gain, atma sukh tattva. No, Prout is based on welfare for all. So all these potentials should be utilized for the welfare of human society. And one example or two examples from the animal world or the bird world will clear more this supramundane potentials. Many times we have heard or seen that whenever there is a possibility of earthquake in any specific area, the reptiles, the snakes, the mongoose, they leave their place. Even the pets like cat and dogs becomes restless. So they haven't studied any science, but there is something inbuilt which guides them. There is some kind of subtle potential which guides them that something is going to happen. They are unable to speak, they are unable to convey. But it has been scientifically proved that before earthquake, many of the animals or reptiles react before to the earthquake. Another example from the birds, when there is a possibility of solar eclipse, they haven't studied science that, oh, now it's time that moon is going to come in between sun and earth, and now it's time for the solar eclipse. No, they haven't studied it, but they started returning back to their nests before the solar eclipse. So there is some kind of subtle potential in between them. And the last example is when the cold is looming in Siberia, the birds, many of the birds come from Siberia to India in many sanctuaries spread across some in between two sanctuaries might be there is a difference of 2000 kilometers or 3000 kilometers, but a migratory bird or coming from the Siberia, and the total distance will be somewhere around 15,000 kilometers, 10,000 miles. They fly from Siberia to India. So is there any GPS is transplanted in their head? No. There is no GPS transplanted into the heads of Siberian cranes or the flamingos, those who are coming to India or going to some another place, but they have certain sense of knowledge or certain potential which guides them to come to that specific sanctuary only. Every year they come to that place, and when the summers arrives, they return back to the Siberia. There is no GPS transplanted. And when they come here, they have their children's, they got their children's, they fly with them to the Siberia. And the next year, when the winters are in Siberia, these birds, cranes, and flamingos again come to that sanctuary only. They don't go to another sanctuary in India. So these are the examples of supra-mundane potentials, and these kind of potentials must be utilized for the welfare of all. And the last one is, which is mentioned as the spiritual potentialities, but the word karan is thul sukshma karaneshu. Karan is actually is the causal potential. Again, it's a bit difficult to define with any specific definition of causal potentials, but let me share some example with you, might clear the conception of causal potentials. And what are the examples? Suppose I'm going to market, local market, and I'm thinking something serious is lingering in my mind, and I'm not uh, just giving attention to the road traffic, what is happening. Or suppose I'm on my mobile, I'm just engrossed in my talking, and I haven't seen what the vehicular movements are. Suddenly I saw that a speeding car is coming towards me, and within fraction of seconds I jumped to a side. What is this? This sudden jump. And for this sudden jump, we doesn't require any kind of degree or professional knowledge. Even how I reacted in that situation, any literate or the PhD or DLit or a professional will react in the same fashion. And even a person who hasn't got an opportunity to study, he will also react in same fashion. What is this? This inherent potential is the causal potential. Let me take another example. Apple was falling from the plant since time immemorial. No one bothered to think why this apple is coming from the plant to the earth, why it's not going to the sky. Newton, when he was in garden, he saw it and then suddenly strike to his mind. Why this apple fell onto the earth? Why not into the sky? Why not into the air? Which led to the theory of gravitational force. He was not experimenting in the any laboratory. He was in the garden. But as I said, something subtle, something supramundane, something very subtle is there in our mind that need to explore. We need to explore more and more. And when we will go to the fourth chapter, quadridimensional economics chapter, presently economics has only two branches, which is general economics and the commercial economics. Sri Prabhat Ranjan Sarkar has added two more chapters or two more part to it, that is people's economy and the psycho-economy. In psycho-economy, he says that a time will come that people will be spiritually elevated and their intellect information will be too high. They will be intuitive. They have intuition. They will find the solution to any of the problem. It will not take more time to them. This will happen in future. So these things are already in our mind, inbuilt under us. This need to be explored. And with the last example of the causal potential, it will clear your conception about the causal potentials. And we must have heard, we all have learned and heard about the story of Eureka, Eureka. What happened? Archimedes was taking bath in a bathtub and suddenly he realized why he is floating in water, which led to the invention of the law of displacement. What this law of displacement says, that a product, a good, or anything will float on water or it will dive into the water or just sank into the water. This will decided by the law of displacement. And it happened just by chance. This is the causal. He was just in bathtub and suddenly he realized. These are the examples of causal potentials. So I think now it's clear to everyone what are the mundane potentials, what are the supramundane potentials, and what are the causal potentials. Now it's clear to everyone. And let me conclude with the word of the sutras, that is maximum utilization for the welfare of everyone and the rational distribution. What is the rational distribution? Means minimum requirement should be guaranteed to all. Everyone's minimum requirement should be guaranteed. Surplus will be given to the meritorious people. And if some physically challenged or the old people or the people, those who are unable to work, we have to take care of them as they are also part of our human society. So these potentials, these wealth should be rationally distributed, which clearly demarcates Prout from the communism philosophy. Communism believes in equal distribution, when Sri Prabhat Ranjan Sarkar is very categorical in saying the rational distribution. He has given or taught us the methodology of rational distribution, who will get what. And with these words, I conclude today's session, and I welcome the questions, if any.
Didi, can you?
Yes, namaskar. Thank you. That was very interesting. I have a comment and a question. The
I will
comment.
be more happy with comment only.
Pardon me? No, no, no.
I will
Comment,
be happy with comments
comment
only.
and question. Neither. The question isn't a hard one. The comment is on supramundane potentialities. There's some amazingly interesting research on what is called the heart brain. A lot of science showing that heart resonance between people can affect one's metabolism and physiology, but also one's behavior and one's thoughts and one's feelings. So I see that as science on love, on the expression and beauty of love and how that affects others. So for me, that's very fascinating. That's a comment on supramundane potentialities. And the question is on the accumulation of wealth. I would like to know if you have any thoughts on what some of the steps may be towards that cap. For example, now there's a lot of talk on taxing the wealthy, which seems like a very practical step. Anything else that you could add to that that you might see until we get to the point of the collective body being able to set those kinds of limitations?
Yes, I will react to it like in the 16th sutra says that the utilization will vary from time, space, and person. And but this should be progressive in nature. So whatever the cap will be in for America or any of the rich European country, the same cap can't be for the any poverty region or the poor country. So it will vary. That's the reason government is not there. The word collective body is there, and this collective body represents to the society, samaj, this socio-economic unit, as the world is divided into the some 245 socio-economic units globally. In India there are 44 samajas, as you have heard the name of Amra Bengali, Bhojpuri Samaj. So this, the collective body is of the samaj. They will decide what will be the ceiling, what the people will be allowed to keep or to accumulate. This will be decided locally. But in prevailing circumstances or the system of governance or the way capitalists are prevailing over ruling class, I don't see any possibility of any kind of ceiling on wealth. Being government, just to vent out the anger, might they can put some more taxes on the rich people, but somewhere I visualize that the things will take shape same way as it is happening in Sri Lanka. The system need to be changed. If system is not going to be changed, people with the same mindset, same set of mindset, they are not going to allow poor people or any kind of rational distribution or the poverty alleviation programs. They will not allow it to be happen. So gradually it, the system will change. Without changing the system, I doubt that it is possible to put any kind of ceiling. This is my strong observation.
Yes, thank you.
Namaskar. On that note, does it mean that then that change will have to happen at the same time in most parts of the world? I mean, what you said about Sri Lanka. So it's only happening, if it's only happening in Sri Lanka or, a few other places, how much that has the potential to, move to something else. It seems it would have to happen, in the big, like, economic centers in the West, for example, or in China. And
just 2 months back, no one has thought about that this kind of situation will occur or happen in Sri Lanka. So right now we are unable to visualize what will happen in the future, as we lack probably that foresightedness, the clairvoyance or the precognition. We don't have that subtle supramundane potentials. But when we were discussing the sutra number 4 and the 6th, the tremendous utilization of force will lead to the either reverse samaj direction. Chakra will be either revert to the backwards or the forward. At that time I gave an example that what will happen, that when the share market across globe will crash. In India, in last 10-15 days, after the central bank's decision to revise the repo rate, which has been increased to 40 points, 40 basis points. Now, and what is the repo rate? Repo rate is the rate of interest banks or the financial institutions takes loan from the Reserve Bank of the central bank. So if central bank is charging more interest on the money, they are compelled to charge more money from the public or the companies or those who ever taking the loan. This is called the repo rate. And after increasing this repo rate, in last 10 days, India's share market has crashed for the 5,000 points, more than 5,000 points. So if this situation persists, if or this crisis in Ukraine, because this is not a conflict between Russia and Ukraine only, this is just a dumping ground of armament in Ukraine. Companies are selling their products, this armaments, not only in Ukraine. Just this threat has infused in the minds or the governments across Europe. Even all, you just go to the website of CIPRI, that is Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, which analyzes the data of international defense productions, defense exports and imports. And you will find that many of the countries had uh, export has been increased by 60%, 70%. Japan is there, probably 71%. Yes, 71%. South Korea, 61%. Taiwan, they have increased their defense budget. So if the money is invested into the defense products, definitely you are going to curtail the basic requirements like educational facilities, health facilities, or the availability of the food grains to the general masses. So if masses are unable to get their basic requirements, what will happen? They will, everywhere they will react in the same fashion. And if anyone is saying that America is too literate, United States is too educated country, literate country, we can't think such kind of scenario in United States. But let me remind two examples. Yes, it was a probably not a fit case, the brutal death of George Floyd, who was beaten to death by the police personnel, and there was a issue of racism, and America erupted in many places. Violence took place. But the better example is when Donald Trump lost his election and what happened in the Capitol Hill. So we can't claim that we are a literate country. This kind of situation is not going to happen in our country. This what was the Occupy Wall Street? This has already happened in United States. Occupy Wall Street, there was some 8-10 years back. It has already been happened there. So when there is a chain reaction, when the economy or the share market will collapse, every country's economy will collapse. And when people are dying for food, if they are not going to get their basic requirements, people will react in same fashion as it is happening in Sri Lanka or anywhere else. And I visualize this scenario as a Sudra revolution. After the extreme exploitation of Vaishyan era, Sudra revolution will lead us to, for a Sudra revolution which will lead us to the new era or the new age. This is my perception or some idea.
Does
Any
anybody else have?
questions? Sardadi, your mic is muted. If you are willing to ask anything, you kindly unmute yourself.
I'm just still reflecting what you said. You didn't expressly kind of answer my question. I can imagine that happening, but I'm just what I'm wondering whether it does have to happen at the same time around the world.
It will happen. If you wish to be categorical, it is bound to happen. If we believe in Prout philosophy says Shudra era, Kshatriya era, warrior class era, intellectuals era, and the traders or the capitalists or the Vaishyan era, that will culminate into the Shudra revolution. So Shudra revolution is bound to take place. I am categorical. I have firm belief in Prout philosophy. I have the conviction that Shudra revolution, and it will take place across globe. Not necessarily in the same time, but it might begin somewhere as it has started in Sri Lanka. After 6 months or 1 year or 2 years, it might happen in some African country or somewhere else, but it is bound to take place.
Another question. You mentioned
Yes.
Samaj in India, 44, and you said the number about the world. Is it something that Baba kind of said? I've seen in the past, but I don't have it. A map of Samajas that Baba, I don't know whether he has given, somebody has made, or he approved, or is there any record of that?
It's been a bit contradictory, and I have tried my best to authenticate the numbers of samajas. For India, it's for sure 44, but I have two data. One is a very popular book with the Prout activists, that is Proutist Economy. You must have seen that yellow color book, Proutist Economy. When you will go to the probably page number 315, there it has been mentioned that all across globe there are 247 samajas. 247. And I have one list which has been segregated on the basis of sectors. As we know that we have the 9 sectors: New York, Berlin, Suba, Cairo, Georgetown, Berlin, Hong Kong, Delhi sector. So all these Suba sector, 9 sectors. And sector wise samajas, when you club or add it to the total, it comes to 240 samajas. So I have asked many times to the SGPU that what are the exact figures, whether it's 240 or 245 or 247 as mentioned in the Prout economic, but no one has given any categorical answer to me. So it's for 240 on basis of the sector wise numbers, or 247 as per the Proutist economy book. You can go to the page number 315 probably. There is, it has been mentioned 247.
Mm-hmm. And where is the list of them?
I have a list, and if you can provide me your WhatsApp number or the signal number or any email ID, or the best part, I can share it with the brother Maheshwara, and he will pass on to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
That the sector wise list
Mm-hmm.
that I
And
will provide.
what you would say, what was the basic principle, how those samajas are divided by Baba?
How they are defined.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, there are parameters for that also. The parameters are common economic problems, common economic potentials, our cultural legacy, language, the common geographical area. So all these 5-6 parameters, when clubbed together, this defines a particular or a specific area as a socio-economic unit or the samajas. Again, I am repeating: common economic problems, common economic solutions, common cultural legacy, this common geographical area, all these uh, are combined together as a to defining a socio-economic unit.
So Bhairava just shared in the chat that he has launched, or people, Proutists in Australia have launched the Samaj movement called Progressive Australia Movement, and he left the website. You can check it on the chat. Do you have any more questions?
Dada, this is Shuman. This is Shuman Das from Bangladesh. I wanted to comment and ask a question to Rajesh Da. First, let me give a big congratulations to Rajesh ji, for his wonderful speech today, for his wonderful talk. It was very nice, very rich and easy to understand. As you know, as I have started to learn the Prout gradually, one question came in my mind today. And Dada, Rajesh Da, you are saying that you know, the progressive, according to the progressive utilization, the cap, I mean, the cap should be determined or set by the locals, let's say local Samaj, Bangla Samaj, Hindi Samaj. I mean, there are many Samaj. If it is determined by the local Samaj, like on the basis of their need, on the basis of their geography, on the basis of their religion, culture, everything. At the same time, if we look at the Denmark or USA, their cap will be set by their locals. But still, I see, my question came in my mind, there will be a huge gap. There will be huge, you know, financial gap between the, you know, the Samaj in USA, Samaj in Bangladesh. How this gap will be reduced? How this gap will be minimized? Can you elaborate something? Because this came in my mind. As Rajesh, you are referring to the Oxfam. I have worked for Oxfam for 15 years, and I was a part of, like, you know, to generate that kind of report. So that came in my mind several times, but you know, but no answer there. So I would like to hear from you. Is there any, you know, I mean, definitely there should be something in the Prout. Dada, are you getting my question?
Yes. I got it, and many thanks for asking this question. You are talking about United States and Bangladesh. Forget about United States and Bangladesh. Even in India, different states has different per capita income. Some states are quite rich, some states are quite poor. So in within a country itself, this problem is there. That's why Prout says about the think global, act local. So that, and I have already said it, that for every samajas it will vary. But the thing is, what you are talking about, to minimize the gap between one samajas and another samaja.
Right.
So it will happen. That's the reason when he has given the block level planning or the decentralized economy, he is categorical that he says in economic democracy, he says the economic affairs should be in the hands of local people. And he further says no outsider should be allowed to intervene into the local economic affairs. The idea behind this is that every society or samaj should be stronger and prosperous enough they should self-reliant. And when one society or samaj is self-reliant, in a later phase, in the second phase, the samajas will started merging in one into another. Now we are occupied with many narrow sentiments that I am a Bangla speaking person, my language is the best, my cultural heritage or the legacy is the best one. But when we will move towards the more subtler phases, the more psychological and the spiritual orientations, all these narrow sentiments will die down, and gradually, happily, we will merge into one another, and a time will come when there will be only one samaj, that will one human society. For that, Sri Prabhat Ranjan Sarkar has categorically said, human society is one and indivisible. So a time will come in near future, after 20 years, 25 years, or 50 years, that every samajas will merge into each other. We might have only one language, one culture, everything will be same. And when there is a one samaj, so there will be one cap, there will be one ceiling for everyone. And as I said in the previous sessions, that Prout USP can be defined in two terms, that is guarantee of the minimum and increasing basic facilities, which is the 11th sutra. The increase in the basic standard of living is the vital sign of the indication of the vitality of the society. So every society will keep upgrading itself, upgrading its lifestyle. So in that process, it will gradually minimize the gap between one to another. And when the in longer run, after 30, 40, 50 years, when samajas will start merging into one another, there will be a time will come when there will be one samajas. And what you are dreaming, what I am dreaming, one human society, we might have, due to the climatic conditions or some previous races, that as we know, we have four races: Aryan, Austric, this Negro, and the Dravidian, sorry, Mongol. So four races are there. So we must have our looks as per the climatic conditions, but we have one human society. We might speak one language. We have, in future, we may have one cultural legacy also. Sumanda, I think you will be not completely or fully satisfied, but might be a little bit satisfied.
No, Dada, thank you very much for your nice explanation. I fully get you. I fully get you. Just on a side note, on a side note, I mean, you nicely explained that the samaja will be smart. They would tend to smart. But my on a side note is that when the samaja will smart, definitely it will not undermine the diversity. Yeah? The diversity will remain alive. Huh?
That is 8th sutra. Vachitriyam prakrit dharma samanam na bhavisyati. Diversity is the law of nature. Even we have a one human society. Those who are living in Denmark, Sweden, Portugal, they will fairer to me, they will fairer to you. So this is going to happen. This diversity will be there. We might have some, all the foods, the cuisines across globe will amalgamated. We might have some new dishes. We might have some new cuisines to enjoy. We will enjoy the food from the Portugal. They will enjoy our food, your food. So this will be a broader bouquet, broader menu in future we have, going to be have.
Dada,
Thank
but
you,
how
Dada. That's all. That's all from my side. Thank you very much, Dada.
if I could just point, because you mentioned the language, which is for me is very strange that there would be just one language, that all languages merge into one. That's quite a, because it's also then a culture. It's also, I understand that the mixture might be more, people will be mixed and the cultures will be more mixed, but wouldn't be a loss a bit to lose the diversity in languages and then consequently in cultures?
This amalgamation or the mixture is going to take place, whether we like it or not. This is going to happen. Just take example from India. For last 5, 6, 7,000 years, we spoke our local language, that is Hindi. And even the numericals, suppose 56, which is called chappan in Hindi. In our local language, it is chappan, 56. But even now, the newborn babies or the school going students, they don't know what is chappan is. They ask from us, if because we are old people, we are tend to speak the our language, so we speak it. But they ask, what is this chappan? So we have to guide them or say them that it's 56. So this change is subtly taking place. And if you, let me remind one more thing, probably I don't know anyone has given a strike to anyone or not. In every book of Sri Prabhat Ranjan Sarkar ji or written by Sri Sri Anand Murthy ji, the first chapter is not the contents part, not the book's description, but the first page is Roman Sanskrit part. If Sanskrit language is written in Roman script, which is right now written in locally, that is Devanagari script. But why he has given in all the books? Sanskrit language will be written in Roman script. This gives me a sense that in future might the Sanskrit language, all the sutras of Prout are in the Sanskrit language. So in future might the Sanskrit will be the international language, written not the local script of Devanagari which is prevailing in India, but this is the Roman script, A, B, C, D. So this is my perception. I don't know anyone's, it has been strike to anyone's mind or not, but I visualize it because he has given in every book, whether it's in Hindi, whether it's in Bangla, whether it's in an English book, it has been translated to the another language. That page is always there. It gives me a sense that in future we are, and if you analyze any language of the world, whether it's German, whether it's Russian, whether it's Indian languages, the Dravidian languages, or the Bangla language, you will find many Sanskrit words or the root words are Sanskrit. From there, they are developed. The Sanskrit word is bhrata. This has been transferred to brother. Mata. This is now mother. Pita. Now it's father. So something is there which I am just I have a feeling that
I've read that Baba said that Sanskrit should be the common language of India. I didn't think that he would think that for the whole world, because Sanskrit is Indo-European language. So all Indo-European languages, which are most of the languages in Europe, are of course related to Sanskrit. But for example, Hebrew or Arabic or African languages, they are completely different and they are not really connected to Sanskrit in that way. But I think through language and then consequently through culture, there is lots of that expression that if that's by by any kind of force, it's enforced, that's probably not good for the humanity. I don't know. I love Sanskrit and I studied Sanskrit, but it's difficult for me to see that Sanskrit would be then, the language that would be spread throughout the world. Yeah.
Any person living in any country, if he changes his religion and adopts Islam as his or her new religion, they begin reading Quran, that is the holy book of Islam. And this is not in Hindi or English. This is not in Sanskrit. This is Arabic. So people learn it. The same way we have different languages. Even Bangla is not my mother tongue.
but I am singing Prabhat Sangeet. So what you are saying, this is this perception may sounds good at this juncture, but what will happen in future we can't predict. Because, and just let me inform you, just day before yesterday, Google Translate has launched, other than the prevailing 100 plus languages where with the facility of the Google Translate is available, Sanskrit has been added to the Google Translate just day before yesterday. I will give the same, but it is in Devanagari script, but you can search on Google. Is Sanskrit in Google Translate? So this subtle change is taking place. Sometimes it happens that we are so fascinated with our own culture, legacy, and the language, everything, food habits, our clothes, everything. But when mentally we are above all these things, when we feel that, oh, my brother from India or from Africa or from any of the country, this is not a barrier, color, complexion, when we are above all these sentiments, so we are ready to accept anything, and it will happen in a natural process. No one is going to force anyone, no one is going to pressurize anyone. This will happen in a natural process, I believe. As I said, English was probably, other than England or United States, very few countries the mother tongue is English, but all across globe, even those who are Mandarin speaking, they are also using English, because it's an international community right now. So English is taking place. So even if English can take place in every country, why we should doubt that Sanskrit will not take place? Maybe.
It's an interesting, question. As I said, I studied Sanskrit and I can read it and understand, but I think there is wealth of, of cultures and mixture that can be, Sanskrit could be lingua franca, maybe like English is a lingua franca today. But I think, or maybe we will be in that sphere that nothing will matter. So it doesn't matter
So
what we speak.
we should not worry about what will happen after 50 years or 100 years. We
Yeah.
should live in the present, and we should think about right now what is happening, and we need to be progressive. The last sutra of the Prout, which says that as per time, space, and person, utilization changes, but that utilization should be of progressive nature. So we should be progressive enough, and we should uh, just accept it with positive things, positive thoughts. That's only. And I think it's too much of time. Didi is asking to leave, and I think it's 1.5 hours. So should we conclude, dear host?
Yeah, if Suman does, I think he has a remark if he wants to
Yes,
say it, and then we can finish.
Again, thanks Rajesh Da and all the participants, all the Margi brother and sister. This is a personal question. Rajesh bhai, brother Rajesh, do you live in India or you live in outside India?
I haven't ever been to outside India. I born and brought up in Bihar, where Baba was born, Jamalpur, but not exactly in Jamalpur, but I born and brought up in Bihar only. And I have been to the cosmopolitan city. I lived 20 years in Delhi, but right now I'm living in Varanasi, which is the parliamentary constituency of our honorable Prime Minister. And Varanasi is the oldest living city on planet Earth. It's more than 5,000 years old. So I'm in Varanasi right now.
Dada, the reason I'm asking this because after a long time, just like 2.5 years, the India-Bangladesh border has opened. So I have applied for visa. I am likely to come soon in India. So, and most probably I will be visiting Kashi. Varanasi. Okay. So if you don't mind, if you just leave your contact details so that I can, if possible, I can have a quick catch up with you. Huh? Thank you very much.
Onek swagat.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very good. So I hope everyone is satisfied, everyone's happy. And just before we conclude, I would like to announce or remind everyone that, you know, we have launched a Telegram chat for Prout discussions. So if you're interested, the link is in the chat. Rajesh, you want to say something?
Yes, the next session is not after a fortnight, but it's on next Saturday, 21st of
Yeah.
May. And
Yeah.
last from my side, happy Anand Purnima to everyone. It's Baba's birthday,
thank
day
you.
after tomorrow. So happy Anand Purnima to everyone.
Thank you very much. And thank you everyone for coming. It was a very big pleasure to be here, and see you next week.